So we're taking a break from the top 10s to talk about something that happened yesterday that is extremely important to the anime community. It might not seem like it at first, and many people probably view it as small, but the implications of what has happened yesterday are very big and will affect all of us sooner or later. If you don't know already, yesterday Amazon announced that its cash grab bullshit streaming service Anime Strike will be canceled, and that all the anime they have licensed will be just adapted into Amazon Prime's natural streaming service. Now, for those of you who didn't know, about a year ago, I think it was a year ago, actually, according to Chibi Reviews, Amazon started their own anime streaming service, and at first, this was great. Like, when this was announced, a lot of people got excited because this meant competition, especially because Netflix was also looking like they were going to get into the licensing game. It wouldn't just be Crunchyroll, who basically had a monopoly on legal streaming. This would essentially mean you'd have the competition, they'd try to compete, more shows would get licensed, more shows would get attention as the streaming service pined for your money. But that did not happen. The first annoying thing that happened is that Netflix would not stream their anime, but instead would just hold it hostage until they could get a dub going for their bullshit mentality of just binge watch everything. It's not like the whole point of television is to see if it can keep bringing you back week after week. And Amazon elected to make a separate streaming service you had to get on top of Amazon Prime. Now, many people thought this was ludicrous. How would this ever work? Well, Amazon's business mentality was just license as much shit as possible. Where Netflix would only get a couple animes per season, and my personal theory is that they kind of got these more just by accident of contracts with different studios and stuff. Amazon would just buy everything. Like, there were a few seasons there where Crunchyroll barely had anything of merit or of worth, and everything was just going to Amazon. It was very clear that their mindset was, we'll just buy everything, and everyone will have no choice. Well, after a year of this nonsense, the community has won, and Amazon has just simply put it into Amazon Prime, and this is a big deal because even though, yes, you would still have to have Amazon Prime, this means a serious level of competing between the three can start, especially because Netflix is also, I don't know if they've formally announced it, but it seems to be reported that they're going to start their own sort of streaming part for anime that is weekly in spring, I believe it was announced. I don't know what's going to happen with the Kyoto Annie show they got this season, but we'll wait and see on that. But this can essentially mean a true bidding battle can begin. It's no secret that streaming is basically taking over most of how we view media, rather it be with TV or even with movies in a lot of cases. So this means that this is the new big platform and everyone's going for a piece of the pie. Combined with the fact that thanks to mainstream anime successes such as Hero Aka and Food Wars, anime is kind of becoming big, plus there are other things like SAO, Attack on Titan. But with all these things competing now, and they know they have to, this is going to create a situation where you as the consumer will have to pick what you want. It is, I assume, unreasonable to assume someone's going to pay for all three of these. I assume. I only have Netflix and Crunchyroll, and I have no intention of getting Amazon Prime. But this essentially means that they're going to have to put more effort into it now. Crunchyroll has essentially still been getting by because they're the little guy. We all want to support the little guy. Well, if the other two studios are going to seriously try and compete with this means that they got to up their game. All three of these are going to have to try and hopefully do better deals and pine for your money and all this stuff. Maybe we will see a resurgence of Amazon having a separate streaming service for anime, which is fine, but it needs to not have to be another paywall of having Amazon Prime. If I'm correct, you had to pay like $16 a month to have both these services. Now, this also gets into the bigger issue of where is streaming going? Midnight's Edge just did a great report on streaming and sort of how everyone's starting a streaming service now. Disney wants to start a streaming service. A lot of the reason of the Fox acquisition by Disney is apparently Fox wants to get in on streaming, but doesn't really feel confident going about it, especially because they also own major stock in Hulu, the other big streaming service. CBS started CBS All Access, which was the only place to watch Star Trek Discovery. And so the issue is everyone's going to start a streaming service, and eventually you're paying $100 for essentially just to get what you could have gotten with a normal cable package, which will of course just be phased out as the concept of scheduled TV just leaves us in general. So what does that mean for the future? Well, realistically, people are not going to spend $100 just to get like 10 streaming services. What I imagine will happen is we'll just see an oversaturation in the market, and eventually that market shut-up phone will collapse. And then hopefully everything will be restructured in a way that you can simply pay your, $10 now for Netflix, your $6 for Crunchyroll, your $10 for Amazon, and you'll essentially get most of what you want. This is the natural direction things are going, and I think in the long run it will go well, but I feel like a shorter, sort of tough period will happen. But what can you do if you don't really want to spend? Well, look, I know no one wants to say it, but if you're watching anime, if you don't want to pay for streaming, just watch Kiss Anime, watch GoGo Anime, watch whatever. Another big portion of why Amazon Strike failed is that I imagine they realized that people will just watch on one of those sites instead and rely on fan subs. And the reality is, even if you try and get these sites shut down like they tried to do to Kiss Anime, if I remember correctly, and so on and so forth, the reality is a new one will pop up. There's no point in fighting it. Just as all the CD companies had to learn to adapt when Napster and downloading started becoming a thing, television will adapt soon. So keep doing what you're doing. I know that might sound crazy to suggest, but that's just kind of reality. It's a very ambiguous world, and this is a very ambiguous topic. Dear God, I just made it sound like I was talking about pot legalization, but whatever. In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on this story. If you're glad Amazon did this, or if you had Amazon Strike, are you worried about what this could mean for their streaming service? I think it's a good sign. I think that since Amazon now has these things in their normal catalog, you might see more recommendations for it if you just have Amazon Prime in general.